Hi there guys, and welcome to John Drinks, the channel where I, John, have a drink, and today we're going to be experimenting with infusing cocktails with coffee using an Aeropress. Now I'm basing this idea from a video done by Nick over at Cocktail Chemistry, and I'll link his video down below. Big difference being whereas he was using a V60 and pouring his cocktails over, I'll be throwing an old-fashioned into an Aeropress and seeing what happens. So to make our old-fashioned, first we're going to need some whiskey. Traditionally, you would use a bourbon or a rye whiskey for this, but I'm going with a lowland Scotch whiskey called Bladnoch. It's a bit of an unsung hero for the region, and after having had a few glasses, I literally cannot recommend the stuff highly enough. Some key points for why I've chosen it, however. Firstly, it's an integrity malt, so more of the flavour is going into our finished drink. It's a bourbon barrel release, so the whiskey has big notes of vanilla, and it's 46.7% ABV. The higher strength is going to help extract as much coffee flavour in what is going to be minimal contact time for the cocktail. Next up we have our sweet ingredient. While I could use a gum syrup or even just plain sugar, I've opted for maple syrup as I think it will play better with the coffee flavour we're going to be adding in. I have the cheaper stuff cut with carob here. It works fine, but use pure maple syrup if you can. Lastly, bitters. I'm using cherry bitters as it will contrast nicely with the vanilla flavour of the whiskey and help eke out some of the fruit components from the coffee. Depending on what whiskey and coffee varieties you go with can help inform the bitters you use. Black walnut, chocolate or peach bitters could all work really well in a drink like this too. And we can't forget the coffee. I'm using a bit of an unusual coffee today. And no, it's not the expensive stuff a weird cat shits out. This is a single origin variety from Kenya called elephant ears, named after the abnormal shape of the beans. This is caused by the two seeds of the coffee cherry, which are normally separated in the fruit, becoming intertwined with each other instead. Flavour-wise, this stuff has a rich chocolate flavour with less acidity. Now, I get my coffee from a tiny indie shop in Aberdeen called McBean's. This isn't a sponsored video, they're just a small business that's had a hard time the last few months, and I wanted to help. There'll be a link down below to check out the coffee that I'm using, but have a browse. They stock a lot of interesting single origin and blends, and if at the end of this video you feel like you want an Aeropress, they sell them too. Anyway, back to the drink. First things first, we need to grind our coffee beans. I was a long time skeptic of the importance of grinding your own beans at home, and I have to tell you, it does make a difference. One thing you won't hear coffee YouTubers telling you though, manual coffee grinders are a pain in the arse first thing in the morning. I'm using 14 grams of beans here, and we want to grind the coffee medium fine, a little bit coarser than for espresso. Okay, let's make an old-fashioned. So we're going to start out with the whiskey and pour a healthy 50 millilitres, and to double down on the coffee theme, I'm using the glass jug from a French press as a mixing glass here. Next go in with 10 to 15 millilitres of maple, depending on how sweet you like your drink. I wouldn't recommend going any heavier than that though, otherwise you're going to start drowning out the other flavours. Lastly, in with the bitters, about 2 shakes. Okay, maybe 3. And then stir with an Aeropress paddle to keep the theme going. Realise the paddle is garbage for the job and sub in a table knife instead. Stir for about 30 to 40 seconds until you see some frost forming on the mixing glass. Now over to our Aeropress. Be sure to rinse the paper filter first to get rid of the paper flavour. It's a thing, just trust me. Place the Aeropress over the glass you want to use. I'm serving mine up in a chilled coupe, but you can go traditional with a rocks glass and ice. Add in the ground coffee and then pour the cocktail over the grounds. Stir for about 10 turns to help the flavours marry together, then stick the plunger atop the press and slowly press the cocktail through the grounds into the glass below. And there it is. The cocktail has gone a few shades darker, so we can tell the coffee has paired with the liquor. But does it work? Well, the short answer is absolutely. The coffee adds a brilliant, rich, earthy quality to the drink. It's not a full-blown cup of coffee flavour, but more of a complimentary rinse to the finished drink. Who knows, maybe I'll end up entering an Aeropress contest after all. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know down below, what cocktails do you want to try running through an Aeropress? Thumb the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you haven't already, because who knows what insane thing I'll do next. You're about to see the Patreon credits. If you'd like to be in them, follow the link down below to find out how. Roll music.